We are live.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
And we are live.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Wake up, wake up.
I know. Still see like my eyes are puffy.
Oh,
Trying
yeah.
to wake up.
Oh, but look at all the love. All the
Yes.
Buenos dias. Hola, señoritas.
Hello, everyone. Is everyone holding the cup of coffee to have cafecito with Alicia? Cheers,
Yes.
Alicia.
Cheers.
So I am going to be introducing Alicia, but I'm not going to stay for long because I want her to have as much time as possible for you guys to do the alleviation, stress alleviation program. And I'm just going to talk a little bit just to introduce her and so you can learn who you'll be talking to. But first, Alicia, how are you?
I'm marvelous. How are you doing?
I'm great. I got a little bit of makeup and stuff going on, just honoring that we're going to be interacting with people.
Yeah.
So Alicia has been a friend of Latinista for a while now. I think maybe like 2 years. You did an event with us last year.
At Evolve Her, yes, the panel.
Yes.
So
fun. She's been very supportive of Latinista, and we are so happy to have her here today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me to be here today. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So with that, I'm just going to give you a little background of Alicia, and then from there, I'll just pass it on to her.
All right.
So Alicia is a mind coach, lifestyle curator, helping you recalibrate your mind in order to recalibrate your life. She incorporates brain science and psychology to assist you with creating long-lasting, sustainable shifts in your mind to align with the life you truly desire to experience. Alicia comes highly qualified and credentialed with a master's in clinical psychology, a bachelor's in education, and certified domestic violence counselor, life coach, and image consultant, with over a decade worth of combined experience as a coach, educator, and mental health counselor. She leverages her clinical expertise and personal life experience using evidence-based tools to provide a powerfully therapeutic and transformative coaching experience. So as you can see, Alicia has a lot to teach us because she is very well educated and has a lot of knowledge in her area. So with that, I do not want to take a lot of your time. I'm gonna step away, but just so you know, Alicia's gonna have a surprise for you guys at the end of the session, and also have your questions ready because we will be answering questions at the end. So, Alicia, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for the amazing introduction. And I'm just loving, I'm loving all these comments. I'm getting used to this platform. So I'm like, I want to talk, but then I want to engage. And thank you all just for having me. And this is going to be fun. And so I'm going to jump right in because we don't have that much time. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just want to drop some gems that you can hopefully take with you, especially during this time of quarantine, this pandemic. I don't know all of your stories, obviously, but I hope that everyone is safe and doing their best to get through this trying, unpredictable time. This time is probably evoking so much stress in every one of you, including myself, in many different ways. I mean, if you've lost loved ones, if you have loved ones that are sick, if you yourself have gotten sick and been exposed to the virus. Either way, stress is at an all-time high. We've never been through anything like this ever before. So I think this is a conversation that is great to have, not only once, but like a repetitive conversation about how we can alleviate stress during this time. I don't even like the term stress management because I believe that there are certain stressors or stresses that we don't even have to manage. I think some of them we can completely eradicate and alleviate ourselves of. And so that's what I'll be talking about today. I want to help you eradicate some of the stressors that you don't necessarily need to be experiencing right now. But first, I know that you got an email sent to you asking you to bring a journal or something to write with. So please have that handy, or a piece of paper. If you don't have it with you now, please go run and get it in like the next few seconds so you can do some of these activities. The first is I want you all to do a self-stress assessment, right? So let's focus in on self, kind of reflect on, how am I feeling in this moment? Maybe how have I been feeling the past 7 days? And I want you just in your journal just to write my level of stress. And I want you to rate it between a 1 to a 10, right? So 1 is like very low stress. You're like, you know, you're cool, you're flowing, you really aren't bothered. 10 is like all-time high. I don't know what's going on. I'm stressed out. I feel it in my body. I see it in my face. It's affecting my sleep. It's affecting my mood. So if you can just rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 of your current stress level, please do so now. And I mean, even in the comment section, like, share your number. And this is just important because many times, especially as women, like, we have so many responsibilities. We're always so focused on everyone around us. And we don't typically take, oh, I see a 9. Oh, I see some 7s. Wow, it fluctuates day to day, but an 8 right now. Yeah, so typically we're not really checking in with self because we have so much going on. Like, I currently right now have 2 boys locked in their bedroom and told them to be quiet for this session. But, you know, I'm typically focused on, are you okay? Is your e-learning stuff getting done? Like, are we good? Are you fed? Is the house clean? And so it's so important to really take a self-assessment of your current level of stress and just check in with self and understand, where are you at, and being honest about it. And so with that number, that's going to inform you about where you are right now as we step into this exercise, okay? And so, yeah, lots of 8s, 6s. So basically most of you all are above a 5, which means high stress, and totally understandable why you're there, okay? And so let's move on. So I'm gonna share my screen. I practiced this a couple times, bear with me, because we are going to start with the handouts that you also were emailed. So the first one is stress and on our brains and bodies. So let me just share that right now. So I'm gonna go over a few points right now just to talk about how stress shows up in our brains and our bodies, okay? So the first point I wanna make right here, you see stress is time influenced. And so this is, I would say, the majority of our stress, right? Like, some stress is like if a bear were to bust into your door right now, and you have to, like, you're in this fight or flight mode and you have to survive, obviously you're going to go into instantaneous stress, right? So it's not really influenced by time, it's happening in the here and now, okay? But the majority of our stress comes from things that we're thinking about in the past or things that we're thinking about in the future, right? It's not typically stress that's induced in this moment right now. If you were to really think about where you're at right now, and if you were to get in tune with your breath, if you were to feel your body and just be in this moment, see the sun outside, if you're in a sunny place, or if it's sunny outside, but look outside and just see the outdoors, take in the nature, you probably wouldn't be that stressed, right? Stress really is evoked by things that happened in the past or are happening in the future. So that is a huge fact that I like to remind myself of when I am feeling at high stress, because at the end of the day, if you are able to just breathe and feel yourself in your body, that could bring your stress level down from an 8 to a 5, you know, just being in the present moment. So I hope you all can remember that point. The second point is Our thoughts cause our stress. Again, this is the majority of the time, right? Again, so if that bear were to bust into your door right now, you have nowhere to go, you have nowhere to hide, you don't know what to do, obviously you're in a state of shock. But that is a very rare event, right? Most of the time, the things that are happening outside of us, the thing that causes the stress most is how we think about those things that are happening. So it's how we interpret those events that are happening around us. So for instance, with COVID, maybe in this moment, COVID is not directly affecting you right now. Like in this moment, it's not affecting your ability to live, to breathe, and just be a human being, right? But when you start to watch the news about COVID, and then you start thinking about the economy, and then you think about the job that you lost, or the job that you're trying to get, but now the job's no longer available because of the pandemic, or when you think about friends and family that are being affected, and all of those thoughts circulating around the events related to COVID, those are the thoughts that really evoke high stress levels. So we have the choice, ultimately, to choose what we think about our circumstances. I'm not minimizing at all the fact that this pandemic right now is just, it's bringing on so many stressful thoughts. But I am reminding you that we have the ability to choose how we are interpreting what's happening in this moment with COVID, right? And so what I like to do with my clients is like, give yourself a few minutes in the day, right, to watch the news, to think about all of the things and all the catastrophes that are happening around you because of this pandemic. And then you get to shut that off. Is it easy? No, that's why people pay me to work with me. But it is possible to create new habits of how you interpret the things that are happening around you. And so most of us, we are, so right here where my mouse is, we are unconscious of what we think about moment to moment, right? So we are not consciously thinking about what we are allowing in our minds, in our consciousness around specifically this pandemic or any other stressful events in our lives, right? So we watch the news and we just kind of let it stream through our consciousness and we're unconsciously taking it in. And eventually those thoughts become like a record that just keeps repeating itself. And we're passively thinking about these thoughts. And those are the things that are really causing stress in our brains and our bodies. Okay, so moving on to when we stress. So I'm sure many of you have heard of the fight or flight response, right? So when we're thinking thoughts that cause us stress, it puts our bodies into a state of fight or flight. It hijacks the amygdala part of our brain, and now those stress hormones are being released and secreted in our bodies, like cortisol, and it's putting our bodies in a state of shock. So again, I'm going to go back to the instance with the bear busting into your house, a very rare event, a very short-lived event. And so our bodies are equipped to handle that level of stress for a short period of time. But what happens with these thoughts, these unconscious thoughts, or just the interpretations that we have that keep circulating through our minds, it puts our bodies in a prolonged state of fight or flight. And that's where it gets a bit scary for our health because our bodies are not equipped to be in that prolonged state of shock. And what happens is it shuts down certain parts of our brain, like our creative mind and other parts that can usually function at high levels if we're not stressed. But since we are, most of the energy in our brain has to go to survival. So when you think about if you are consciously or unconsciously having stressful thoughts circulating through your mind throughout the days, especially now, think about how that is putting your body in a state of prolonged shock. And eventually systems will start to slow down and deteriorate, right? And so this is how illness comes about. This is how cancer comes. This is how other physical ailments and issues come up because the body can no longer withstand those high levels of stress. And so now there's now room to create a new possibility. I'm sorry, back it up. I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. So now when our bodies are in a prolonged state of stress, there's no room to create new possibilities, and there's only room to manage the problem at hand, right? Or the problems that we're creating with our thoughts. And so that's something to really think about, like on a biological, physiological level, what we are doing to our bodies when we are thinking these stressful thoughts. And the last point I want to make about this is using our minds as tools, right? So most of the time, we allow our minds to think unconsciously, like I talked about before, and we're not really passively just kind of letting our brain do its thing. And most of the time it's happening subconsciously, so we're not even really aware, and we're unknowingly thinking about things. And like I mentioned before, we're allowing the news to deposit these thoughts and perceptions in our mind. We allow conversations with our families. We allow social media and just us browsing through Instagram. I mean, we are subconsciously taking in so much data and planting it in our subconscious. And it doesn't leave. I mean, it replays over and over. And so with that, as we're putting those thoughts into our minds, they eventually turn into emotions. And so the thought we feel will then translate into an emotion. And then that emotion will translate into a behavior, right? So think about if you're listening to Trump all day and the thoughts are like, this freaking idiot. And then those thoughts turn into an emotion of anger, frustration, just like resentfulness, and just like you just want to fight, to slap somebody, right? And then those emotions will eventually turn into a behavior. And it may be a behavior towards yourself. It could be a behavior maybe towards your child that's sitting next to you, or towards your partner, or you may just be behaving a little more aggressively than you typically do. And it all stems back to that thought that was activated by the information you took in, right? So this conversation is really about being very, very deliberate and intentional and mindful about the data, the information you're allowing to come into your mind, especially during this time. And so let me see what else does it say here? Most of us are passively and unconsciously thinking the majority of the time. I mean, that's just human nature. That's how it is. And allowing our mind to dictate how we think, how we feel, how we behave. And so the thinking mind is intended to be a tool. All right, let me say that again. Our thinking mind is an organ that's intended to be a tool that we utilize when we need to. All right, it's not supposed to be the end all be all thing that guides us in every direction. All right, we're supposed to utilize it and use it and manipulate it to serve us. And the first person that brought this concept to my mind was Eckhart Tolle. He's been on Oprah. He's amazing. He's written books. One of his books is titled The Power of Now. And that's where he brought this concept to my attention. And he was like, usually we don't see our minds as a tool. We don't think that we can manipulate it and control it in the way that we really can. And so with that information, we have the ability to shut the mind down when it's not needed anymore, right? So just like a toolbox, you pull out a hammer, right? You use the hammer for a specific purpose. You get a nail and you hammer it in. It's a very, you need it for a specific purpose. You put it back when you don't need it anymore. You don't pull out the hammer and just start just smashing everything around you unconsciously just because the hammer is there and it's useful. I mean, you would literally destroy your surroundings and even yourself if you allow this hammer to just run the show, right? And so just like the mind, later, please, thank you. So just like the mind, it's a tool and you can shut it down when needed. Again, not minimizing how difficult this can be. This is where practice comes in. This is where people like me who are professionals can help you. And this is also where guided meditation can come in so very handy, which is what we're going to be getting into. So the mind is a tool. You have the ability to shut it off when you don't need it. And it's really time to be proactive with what we choose to focus our thoughts and our attention on. It is time to be proactive with the information we allow inside of our minds. Okay? And so let me go forward here because I don't want to take up too much time talking at you. I want to do some fun stuff. And so now, we're going to get into the benefits of visualization on our brains and on our bodies. And so when I say visualization, meditation, I use those interchangeably. They're really the same thing, right? And so guided meditation is so very helpful for times like this, because many of us have not cultivated the skills to be able to just shut the mind down and start thinking positive thoughts. Like, it's a lot easier said than done, right? And so I'm sure many of you listening in have been introduced to meditation, are doing it, and I commend you for doing that. And for those of you who have not, I really encourage you to start using guided meditation on a daily basis for at least 5 minutes in your day, preferably in the morning or like right when you wake up, when your mind is just like, it's still fresh. It still hasn't been bombarded by the world and all of its thoughts and all of its chaos. Or right before you go to sleep, when you're winding down for the day and you don't really have much to do. You've gotten all your work done and everything. At the end of the day or the beginning of the day are the most ideal times to listen to guided meditation. And what this does is you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is show up, right? And just be willing to take in the information and be willing to surrender to the process. You don't really have to do the work. That's the beautiful thing about it. And what's also so beautiful is 5 minutes a day, every day. If you do that for 21 days, your brain now has created a new habit. And you are restructuring and reprogramming the way that your brain handles information and takes in information. So it is so very important. And it's one of the easiest things you can do to start to alleviate your stress. Okay, so let me get through these points. So we're here, the benefits of visualization on our brains and our bodies. So real versus fake. This is the first point I want to make. Our brains cannot distinguish the difference between a real and a fake experience. Okay, I'm gonna say that one more time, because the first time I heard that, I was like, wait, excuse, what? Like, I don't understand what you're saying. Our brains cannot distinguish the difference between what's real and what's fake. All right, the brain only goes by what we suggest to it. Okay, so the information that we put in it, it computes it, and then it responds accordingly. All right, so if you are telling yourself, I am the most amazing person in the world, like, your brain will respond to that. Not saying that it's fake or it's not real, but what I'm saying is, if you hadn't been telling yourself that up until this point, and now all of a sudden you just start telling yourself that on a consistent basis, the brain will actually respond on a physiological, and it will affect you on a physiological level. So you will start to stand a little differently. You will enter into a room differently. You will hold your head up high. You will speak differently. Even the words that come out of your mouth may sound differently, because your brain is responding to what you suggested to it, that you are the best thing in this planet, which you are, by the way. And so as we make suggestions to our brains through thought, our brains respond as if that suggestion is real. And so the power of visualization is that it allows us to make deliberate suggestions to the brain instead of allowing those unconscious thought patterns to guide us. Okay? I'm looking at the time, it's moving by, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can. The next point is our thoughts hold electricity. This is major. So our thoughts and our feelings, they hold electrical impulses that can influence physical matter. So these impulses can be measured by devices like EEGs. You know, like when they do those like brain scans or they monitor brain activity, you can see it's electricity. So what that means is, like in quantum physics, it has been proven that when we put attention on a particular thought, that electrical energy will radiate to the universe, and it will, they say, the scientific terms is, it will collapse into a physical event, meaning eventually it will manifest into a physical experience in our physical world. which is just phenomenal when you think about it. And science has proven it, that if you focus deliberately on something for long enough, it will actually happen. So this is what manifestation, the law of attraction, this is what all of this is. But like the book, like The Secret, they don't necessarily talk about the science backing it. So it's more of a spiritual thing, which I'm totally into, you know, but many people need to know the proof. They need to understand, okay, but how is that actually possible? Well, it is possible because quantum physics has proven it. And so visualization allows us the opportunity to consciously create what we desire and experience through focus and attention on intentional thought. And again, that is one of the most phenomenal things I have discovered through this decade of working and doing what I do, because I actually see it happening with my clients. I have them focus on thoughts for long enough and not really getting impatient, right? It's not like it will just happen immediately. We can't dictate the time that it will happen within, but what we can control is us focusing on what we want to experience versus focusing on what we don't want to experience, right? Because on the flip side, if you focus on what you don't want to experience, that will also collapse into a physical experience. And we don't want that. Third point, congruence of thoughts and emotions. So in order to create a physical manifestation, the mind and the body have to be in congruence, right? They have to be equal. They have to be matching, aligned. So if not, how we think will feel in opposition. It will be opposite and create an internal polarized state, meaning your thoughts are thinking one thing, but your feelings are completely opposite. And so ultimately you're sending out those mixed electrical signals to the universe. And so, for example, if we're thinking wealth, if we want to be wealthy and we want to experience that wealth, not only in money, but just wealth in all areas of our lives, abundance in all areas, but we're feeling poor, we're feeling impoverished, it's going to be very hard to attract that wealth and abundance to us because ultimately our emotions haven't shifted to a space where we're actually feeling abundant. Another example is if we're thinking a partnership and we want to have a companion and want to be married or something, but we're feeling lonely inside, no matter what, we won't manifest a relationship where we don't feel lonely. So either we won't manifest a partner at all, or we can manifest a partner, but they make you feel completely alone when you're with them. And I know a lot of people know what I'm talking about because I've had that experience myself. And so the last point I want to make is creating new emotional habits. So the chemistry of emotion within us has created habits within our bodies. And many of us have created an habituated state of guilt, shame, fear, sadness, unforgiveness, all of those things, right? And so in order to create the thought and the emotion alignment, that congruence, we need to create new emotional habits that align with our thoughts. It sounds like, well, how do I do that? I know, it sounds complicated, but it's really not. So that's where visualization can be, and meditation can be so very helpful, because as you are being guided through these thoughts, you're creating new emotional habits within you. That's why it's so important to repeat this process and these experiences, these meditative experiences. Repetition is everything, because repetition creates a new habit, as you all know. And so it will also create new emotional habits within you. And eventually your emotions will align with the thoughts. You will send those aligned, clear electrical signals out into the universe, and you will create what it is that you desire. So it's time to address mind and body alignment instead of just the mind, right? Instead of just focusing on just what you're thinking, it's also really important to focus on what you're feeling. And we have the power to chemically alter our internal environments to set us up for joy and for success and for not being stressed, especially during this time. And so visualization evokes those desired emotions that are aligned with your thoughts, which is the first step in creating a new congruent emotional habit. Okay, so my 2 questions I have down here is, what are you broadcasting on a daily basis? And what, I can't see this because it's in the way. Let me move it over. Yes, if you could create a new electromagnetic signature, right? Meaning if you could create new electrical impulses out into the universe, what would they be? And so that is my spiel for the day before we get into this exercise. And I want to say, do you have any questions? But we'll save the questions for later. Okay. So what I want us to do is, now that we've gotten all that information, I know it was a lot, and I appreciate you for taking that in. And again, write your questions down if you have any, and share them during the Q&A, because I know that was a lot of information. But now I want to do this exercise and guide you all through a guided visualization. And this is the most like simple, basic one that I do, but is the one that makes, it really evokes those feelings of joy, those feelings of alignment and balance and clarity. And I'm really excited to share it with you. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you questions. And I encourage you, especially if you're alone in your home right now, or if you're like alone in the room and you don't have many people around you, when I ask you the question, I want you to answer out loud, because it's really helpful to declare it verbally. It's also helpful to write it in your journal, but I really encourage you to say it out loud. If you are not in a space where you can answer my questions out loud, use your journal and write your answers down. And either way, even if you're saying it out loud after our time together, I really do encourage you to write down what came up for you. So this is my, what I call perfect life guided visualization. And pretty much what I want to do is I want to time hop and take you all to the place where your life is playing out perfectly. The most ideal state of your life. You are at the peak of your life. And when you're answering my questions, when you're responding to my prompts, I don't want you to speak as if it's happening in the future. The goal here is to bring it from the future to here. So again, we're time hopping, we're going there, it is happening now. And so when you answer, I want you to answer in present tense. And it may take a little bit of time for you to get used to this way of like talking about something that hasn't happened yet, but you're talking as if it's happening right now, or if it's happened in the past. But that's a really important part of this exercise. That is going to evoke the emotions, right? And create that new emotion, be the start of creating that new emotional habit that is aligned with these thoughts. So for example, when I ask you, where are you located? Where is your home, right? I don't want you to say, well, I want to have a home in Hawaii and I want my home to look like this one day. That's not what I want, right? What you're going to do is say, I'm in Hawaii. I am in my 7-bedroom, 4-bathroom home on Hawaii. I am on the water. It is gorgeous. I can feel the sun beaming down on my body because I'm on my huge deck, right? So speak as if it's happening now. So I hope everybody understands. So we're going to dive into it. So we have 10 minutes for this exercise. But first, I want us all to just plant your feet wherever you're sitting. Just kind of lean back wherever you are. Get your feet planted. And let's take 3 deep breaths. So let's get out of our heads, because I gave you a lot of heady stuff, and into our bodies, and really get into this present moment. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths. I'll do it with you. So the first inhale. And exhale. Closing your eyes will help. Inhale. And exhale. One more deep inhale. And exhale. Now, it may help you to keep your eyes closed as I give you these prompts. And remember to say it verbally and declare it verbally if you can. And if not, write down what comes up for you. So each question I ask, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to answer it. Okay? So my first question is, you've hopped into your perfect life now. You are here. Where are you and what are you doing? All right, 60 seconds is up. Next question. Where are you currently living? And remember, get as detailed as possible. Next question. Tell me about the perfect home that you've been able to create. What do the aesthetics look like inside? Please explain your home in detail. Next question. Do you have a romantic partner? Tell me about this person. What is your favorite thing about them? And what is their favorite thing about you? Next question. What have you two been able to create together thus far? What have you two been able to create together thus far? Next question. Tell me what you have created professionally since you have hit the peak of your professional career. What have you been able to create, and are there any current projects that you are working on? Next question. How much money were you able to generate this past year, remembering that you've hit the peak of your career? And I like to pause here because many people, we like to play it small, don't we? All right. So this, I just want to remind you, this is your perfect life. This is your ideal life. And this is the peak of your life. And so this is an opportunity where you can play very big right now. Like nobody knows, nobody can hear you. Okay. So if you could create a perfect amount of money that you can make in 1 year at the peak of your career, what would it be? And so jumping back into that, what have you created this past year, knowing that you've made it to the peak of your career? And then that number that you identified, I want you to go bigger. Let's go one notch bigger. And then that's the number right there. And the last question I have for you, if you could name one thing that has helped you shift from, remember that time when we were in that pandemic? Wasn't it crazy? Like what is the thing that made you shift from that level of stress to what you've created now in your life? Because now, I mean, I see you, you're calm, you're balanced, you are happy, you are successful, and such a transformation. If you can name one major thing that contributed to your shift and your transformation, what was it? What helped you get here today? All right. And so I hope that you all were able to answer these questions. I really hope you were able to accept my invitation and just jump there and engage in that level of imaginative play that I invited you to. And just reminding you, right, that this is the start. You just heard my son scream, but that's okay. This is the start of you creating those new emotional habits. And I challenge every single one of you to engage in this type of exercise for at least 5 minutes in the beginning of your day. And I promise you, I guarantee you, it will shift the way that you think. I mean, this has been scientifically proven to restructure the way that your brain functions on a daily basis and restructure the way that you interpret information that is being thrown at you, especially during this time. Thank you. Yes, I'm glad that this has been helpful for some of you. I do this every day. I did it this morning, and I'll probably do it tonight because I got to double up sometimes on days like today. Because again, we all know it's crazy out there. And this is about kind of getting delusional, and delusional in the good way, not like in the bad way. There's a lot of negative connotations around the word delusional, but it's okay to get delusional. Remember that your brain cannot distinguish what is real and what is fake. It only responds to what you suggest to it. So as you are suggesting that you made $10 million this past year, trust and believe that eventually your brain will send the signals to your body and to your emotions and to your thoughts that will allow you to step into that reality, and you will make that 10 million. I really do believe it. And so, oh yes, the gift I have for you all is I have recorded a very similar guided visualization session. It's only 16 minutes long, and I'm going to send all of you that recorded session. And so pretty much it's the same exact thing. So I kind of prepped you on how to go into this, and so you can listen to it. And again, bring your journal or declare it out loud. And during the audio, you can pause, and if you need more time to answer these questions. But it is really phenomenal what comes out. Like, I feel like this exercise allows us to tap into another realm, another spiritual realm, where some of the things that come up, like when I answer some of these questions, I'm like, oh my, where did that come from? Like, I didn't even know that was a goal for myself. So it's like we're streaming like a divine download into our consciousness. And many times we're blocked from that access to that spiritual side of things, and we're blocked to what is intended for us on a divine spiritual level. So again, I hope this was really helpful for you all, and I'm gonna shut up now because I want to hear some questions from you all.
Hello, everyone. Oh my God, Alicia, that was so powerful.
Yay!
Took me a minute to come back. I was
Right?
visualizing all the amazing things in my life. So it was nice. Okay, everyone, do we have questions? Anything that you want to ask Alicia? I think that I'll kick it off asking you the following, which I know that it's something that we all struggle with. How can you get into a state of mind where you are focused during meditation? That's my biggest problem. I think about all the things that I want to buy after I meditate. I think about all the things that I have to do after meditating, but I don't think about meditation at that moment. How do I get into that state of mind?
So I think so I have a few other guided meditations that you can access on my website, right? And so one of them, really, I encourage you to just surrender to the mind and like watch the thinking mind kind of flutter around. Like, it's okay, right? So many times during meditation, we feel like I got to shut it down. I got to shut up. I can't think, no thoughts, focus, and it creates such pressure, and it really takes away from what's intended. And what's really intended is for you to just be able to surrender to what is, right? And so that's even surrendering to your chaotic brain, because remember, it's a tool and it's its own organ and it's doing its own thing. And so it's really helpful to give it 5 minutes and just say, okay, brain, do your thing, do what you want to do, and I'm going to watch you, right? And so like externalizing from your brain, because there's the brain and then there's that deeper consciousness. And so being able to separate and watch the brain from the perspective of your core being, your consciousness, is really powerful. And it reminds you like, oh, wow, like my brain is not me. You know, it's just a thing that's doing its thing. And for me, that helps a lot to be able to externalize and separate from it. So I don't know if that helps, but
it does.
Time to do its thing. Yeah. And then maybe it will bring some calmness and you will be able to finally then focus from a deeper place.
Okay. So on that note, so we have 3 questions. Hopefully we can get through all of them. On that same note, somebody's asking, can you share a tip on what to do first thing in the AM to relieve stress besides meditating?
Move your body. So exercising, yes, get into it, you know. That's something that I started and I've been very diligent with during this pandemic, which surprised me because I was never the one to wake up and just work out. But it is so very helpful to move your body. And of course, you're going to feel that resistance, okay? Your mind is going to be like, I'm not trying to do that. What? No, I'm not doing that. So remember that the resistance comes with it, but we ultimately have the choice to say, okay, resistance, I see you, but I'm still going to do what I know is best for me and what I know is going to alleviate stress right now. And as we all know, on a biological brain level, it releases those feel-good chemicals and it brings your body into balance. So I would just say, just moving. And I see somebody saying taking a shower as soon as you can wake up definitely helps. Yes. And
yeah, that has helped me. I've been wearing my makeup every day when I get up. Like I have that routine already, so I can feel like a normal person before I start my work day. That has helped me.
No, I like that a lot. Yeah, like coming as your best self. You know, you're the best version of yourself. So if makeup does that for you, which it helps me too, it makes me feel like, okay, I'm prepared. I'm ready to go for the day. That's another great tip.
So somebody on that same note, kind of wrapping up the part of meditating, what's the best way to build a daily meditation habit?
Yes, the best way is, again, let it be the first thing you do when you wake up. I mean, do not go on your phone. Unless your meditation app is in the phone, then you got to go on your phone, right? But don't do anything. And give yourself 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. And that can be your wake up routine or right before you go to sleep. Both of those. But again, it's just about consistency and really making the choice and giving yourself permission. I know many times, especially as women, we have so many things going on and we're always focused outward. And so it's good to question, well, what is the deeper root? Why am I not prioritizing myself right now? Like, what is getting in the way of me choosing me? And we can come up with all the excuses in the world, but everybody out in the world can wait 10 minutes, 10 more minutes. They can wait. Everything can wait, right?
That's so true.
Yeah, like you deserve the time.
I think that somebody else, they're like all the questions are a little bit connected, which is, it's nice. Somebody else Denise is asking if depression, mental health makes it challenging to get into the necessary headspace for these type of exercises. Like, what do you do?
Yes, and I do apologize for not even addressing mental illness during this conversation because it is most definitely a real thing. And I honestly, as a coach, and doing all the research I've learned about brain science and meditation, you all can reverse mental illness. It can reverse it. Like a lot of these mental illness diagnoses, and I've been diagnosed with 3 mental illnesses. So I'm my own case study. I've done it on myself. Okay, I've been diagnosed with bipolar type 2, with clinical depression, and with clinical anxiety. And I feel no symptoms now. And I used to take prescription medications and all those synthetic drugs that made me feel worse. And so reading and learning about how these practices can help reverse those chemical imbalances and rebalance the chemicals in your brain, it is a real thing and it works. Okay, so I don't want to minimize anybody's experience with mental illness, but I do know that this stuff is powerful. And so it may be hard. Again, it may be hard. You may feel the resistance. You may feel like, I can't do this. I don't even want to live right now. So why am I going to take out the time to meditate? You know, but it's I'm not saying it's easy. It will be a challenge to make the choice, but it's one choice, 5 to 10 minutes in your day, and just try to stick with it, right? Because ultimately, if you have a mental illness, you've probably tried a lot of stuff. And so this is just one more thing you can try that may just stick for you. And I want to, can I put a comment in here? I want to share Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And he really gets into the brain science, habit of being yourself. Mm-hmm. He really gets into the brain science of meditation, and he talks about how it can alter the chemicals in your brain. And so reading has really informed me and helped me with this topic as well when it comes to mental illness. So I hope I answered your question, and I hope that helped a little bit.
So now we have time for one more question, and just so you remember, we're gonna have this recording coming to you. It's going to be available, but also we're gonna send a follow-up email where maybe we can have Alicia list all the things that can be a tool for you for after this session. So stay tuned for that. The last question I have here is, do you recommend any essential oils for meditation?
Oh yeah, of course. There's definitely amazing essential oils. I used to be like a doTERRA essential oil wellness advocate, and then I stopped because it was too much to try to sell the oils and do what I do. But with doTERRA specifically, I know they have like the purest, like highest grade therapeutic essential oils. They're very potent and they're very effective. And doTERRA has a product line that's called emotional aromatherapy. And so it is focused specifically on helping activate certain chemicals in your brain to help with calming, to help with activating joy, activating peace, relaxation. They have like 6 different essential oils in that product line. So that's my go-to. I use that during meditation, and I really use it throughout the day. Like if I'm feeling crappy and I just can't feel myself pulling myself out of it, there's one called Cheer that I absolutely love, and I put it in my diffuser and I just let it go all day. And my kids love it too. So they're safe for kids as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Alicia. It was powerful, and we can see that everyone is really happy with the content just by looking at the comments. This is the end of the session, but as I said, we're going to be sending a follow-up email with all the information related to Alicia, to the content you saw today, and her suggestions. Please remember to follow Alicia, handle at RefineYou on Instagram, right? Yeah. And you show as Alicia Bradley on Facebook, right?
Yeah, well, it's RefineYou. I put my handle down there, and it's also the same spelling on Facebook. And my website is refinedyou.net. But you all will get all that information with the follow-up email. But I just want to thank you so much. This was fun, and I really hope I was able to drop at least one gem to you ladies. You all are phenomenal. I don't know you, but I love you. And I really just send positive, stress alleviating vibes your way. We will get through this. Yes, get it. Yes, we will get through this. It's a hard time, and all of you are just so strong. I know it because you're here, and you're here taking in this information. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Remember to follow Latinista for more events like this. Remember that we have the events to heal your body, your body, your mind. We also have things for professional development, and we're here to support you now more than ever because we know you need us now. While we navigate everything that is happening. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again, Alicia.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.